And normally, all those dividing lines do when you're trying to serve them folks is get in the way.
Right.
It's
That's true.
it should never. First of all, in youth, I'm never dealing with Republican or Democrat.
Exactly.
I'm never dealing. I'm really not even dealing. If you go down young enough in the youth, I'm not even dealing with kids of different race. I'm just dealing with kids.
And they wouldn't get it anyway. They're like, what?
They don't.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a real quick story. It's so funny, and we laugh about it. And Daniel Henry is a coach for the Panthers football. He laughs about it. Um, Last year we had some challenges at one of the football clubs that we had been with the year previous, so we changed teams, and I got out to the team I was going to be practicing with and coaching with, and we got there. We didn't have our pads because we weren't hitting yet, and they were. And
Mhm.
I said, well, hey, I said, let me run home real quick, and we'll get your pads and come back. And they said, no, we'll stay. Now they were the only white kids out there. I'm just saying, they were the only white kids out there in this team. And later on, we were talking, and one of my sons, about 3 weeks into it, he said something. I said, what did you say? And he said, well, because I'm biracial. And I said, what do you mean you're biracial? And he's very dark. My mom's full-blood Hawaiian, dark skin,
Okay.
so he's got that dark skin to him. And somebody had told him, well, you're probably biracial. And he don't care. He doesn't. These kids don't know those things. Like,
Right.
we
Right.
introduce those things that cause those divisions to them as they get older. And if we really want to see a change, and I feel like the reason Southside fits so well is because it is an example of that division. And I mean, when I say division, I mean not necessarily division, but it's an example of it's almost split 50-50 race,
Yeah.
almost split 50-50.
It's a good collection.
It is almost split
Mhm.
50-50 Democrat to Republican. We got some computer systems we can go to see how people voted. It's like 52-48. So it is truly an area that is diversified in all ways of life.
I
And
agree.
that fits what I want to see work together. I want to see our county and our state and our city reps all work together. We currently don't have that.
Well,
You go ahead.
well, no, I agree with you. Even from the federal level, I think there's a disconnect.
Yeah, you just rarely see the 6 districts elected county, city, and state representatives in the same place working on the same thing.
Hmm.
And I truly believe that will change if we change a couple seats, one of them being the alderman in the 6th district.
Okay.
I believe you.
And you're back.
I believe you, Mike. I agree with you 100%. Can y'all hear me?
Oh, yeah, we hear you well.
Sorry for being late. I'm on vacation,
What?
and I got up late because I was out late. But Mike, I believe in what you're saying. We just got to make sure that some of the things that people have been asking is, can you be your own man? And we know that Purdy is not his own man because he does everything that Van wants him to do. So that's part of the problem with people really being energized with uh, uh, this particular race. I would think that I've been talking to.
I think I can still hear you. Yeah.
So you want to respond to that?
Yeah. Well, and again, it kind of goes back to what I was talking to Robert earlier. When I first entered into or got to thinking about a candidacy and where would I fit and city council stuff, I worked with a lot of those that you might say are the majority on council now. I worked with the Nick Palombos. I worked with the Dietrich Leggett's. I worked with the Lindas. I worked with Van. So I can work with Van. I don't have to agree with everything Van wants to do. I think Van did some good things during his mayoral term, and I think there's some things that I'd sure like to see done different. Mainly, and this is, I think, what I find myself echoing more than anything, when it just comes to the people that live in Savannah. And I would add to that, as I've knocked on doors and called people and been, kind of getting the ear to the ground to see what people want to see in the 6th district. They will start by telling you, a lot of them, that they feel like the previous alderman they had was the absolute best alderman the city of Savannah ever had. Now, they'll finish that sentence by telling you there were things going on in his personal life that they just couldn't allow their seat to be filled with anymore. Then you go to the next one, and they will tell you they feel like he's a good guy. And I say all the time, I won't run a dirty race against him. You don't see me posting negative stuff against him. I just post negative stuff against his results. but they'll say he's a good guy, but he's ineffective and he's not connected as an alderman. When they called their previous alderman, when they would call him, the one that was there a long time, and they would say, and everybody knows who it is, Tony. When they don't say, I called Alderman Thomas, the people of the South Side all will talk to him as Tony because they felt like they had a personal relationship with him. They don't feel that way now. They either have to look up who he is. Now, you have your pocket of people, especially some of them in the Windsor Forest area, that, and I'll say this, there's a pretty good reason why they do support Curtis. And I'll wait to approach those people until after this election's over, because I won't deny that they have every right to be beating the drum for him through this whole race. But you can't always run a city council based upon one little pocket of our city. It's got to be for everybody.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's very true. We would just hope that you get people on this council that are going to do the people's bidding instead of their own bidding.
Yep.
And that's what it's all about. It's not just agreeing with Van because you want something to happen. You got to see what is good for the people of the community. Savannah's built out. Ain't a whole lot more that you can do with building in the city. So now it is time to use those resources and those funds, that revenue, to build other parts of the city that has been neglected.
Mm-hmm.
And can you tell the people that that's what you'll be doing from day one?
So one of my biggest frustrations has been from 3 years ago out, when I started talking to some county commissioners and city aldermen, we have heard someone brag about youth center, or we've heard someone brag for the last 2 years that they've secured $5 million for a community center for the South Side. But where's it at? What's gonna be in it? Who's it gonna be for? Where's it gonna be? There's so much more. I mean, the fact that we secured that much money is great. Good job. But now you got to do something with it. And so we need to make sure that whoever's in the 6th district seat, and the same with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, whoever's in that seat has their residents of their district first, then all of Savannah, and then tourism or anything like that. But number one has to be the residents in the district that put you in the seat. That is who you work for. And I visited with the guy the other day that said my biggest challenge in this race is you have to do 2 things as a candidate: get the community to fire their current representative and get them to hire you. And he said that's why it's so hard to be an incumbent, because you have to convince them to fire them. But the good thing in the 6th district is I don't think there's as many that is some would think that feel like their alderman is a representation of them. I think I said to both of you before, they ran that campaign based upon we're gonna give everybody a seat at the table. So they did. They created tables. They created committee after committee after. There's committees for the committee. They created tables. Everybody can brag that, hey, I got a seat at the table. Well, I saw that firsthand because I have a seat at the table. I was, through this current city council, unanimously put on the city's sports and recreation board. Mm-hmm. And I'm going on my 2nd year. And we sit in that room and we talk about things, and you got multiple coaches, multiple people involved in senior citizen and youth activities who come in and tell the city sports and rec director exactly the challenges we're facing. And you never hear anything from it again, ever. Mm. So what good is a seat at the table if you don't have a voice in the conversation?
That is absolutely correct. Right. I was looking for a clip, but I don't see it, where it was a cartoon that I don't see. It's in another studio that we have. And take that off for me, Rob. I missed it.
No. What is that under the?
Yeah. And I was pulling up something
Uh-oh.
that reflects what he just got through saying.
Uh-oh.
Oh no,
Oh,
what
there
is
it
up?
is. Okay.
Click on anyone, yeah. I couldn't find it. It's the one where Vane got the leaf in the table behind his back. You know, because you're right, they ran on putting everybody at the table, making room for everybody and doing things for everybody. And then when they got in office, they took
They
the
don't
leaf
see
out
it.
the table instead of inserting the leaf in. And
Well,
that's
and
part of the problem.
you look at your Thanksgiving table. If you got a big family, the kids are going to have a table too. That don't mean they're going to have a voice in the conversation. They still don't get to tell you what you're going to eat. They don't tell you what they're
Right.
going to, they get told, hey guys, sit over there, be quiet and eat. And that's what we get told is, hey guys, we're, because I know when I got that, when Nick Palumbo actually called me on that board and said, hey, congratulations, we got you on here. And I was like, man, this is great. I dealt with Coach C a lot with the Seahawks and some others. And I'm like, we're going to be able to get together and get to see to realize these opportunities we need for the kids. And we kept going to these meetings and we get told, well, we're doing this at this park and we're doing this downtown for this square and we're doing this here. And you'd be like, okay, but like we have these challenges. Like, okay, well, we'll keep talking about that. Okay, and that's all we get told. You said something about Savannah's built out, except for the current alderman in this district wants to see an additional built out there on Wild Heron, and we're in no way ready to put 350 additional houses out there. And that community out there has voiced their opinion. They've been misled. I got called by somebody and said, hey, you need to go to this meeting. And I was like, okay, what's going on? They're like, well, this is mean about the builder's going to be there, the architect's going to be there, and it's a community meeting because you got a lot of people in opposition to this build out here. So I went, and basically the builder told them everything they were going to do, made it look real pretty on the board, and then at the end, when they got challenged on, okay, we're not okay with this. This is the residents. We're not okay with this yet. We live out here. Our quality of life is going to be impacted for 10 years
Right.
if you go starting this. And they said, so what can we do? And right about then, the current alderman said, hey guys, I got a second meeting I got to go to. I'm so proud you guys are doing this. Continue the conversations. This is what it's about. Stay involved. And somebody said, well, wait a minute before you leave. So, like, what's the next step?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, just keep talking. And then as soon as he left, they asked the builder, they said, so, like, what does he mean by that? Like, what are we supposed to do? And he goes, well, this meets our obligation, the MPC. We were supposed to have 2 meetings with you, and we're done. We're going in front of city council.
Yeah.
And then we saw at that last city council meeting, not only did he try voting for it, he tried getting it passed with 1 reading.
Wow.
Yeah. And see, the thing is, you got to make him say what's his decision. You got to make him choose what side he's on right then. I found that there it is there. That's that leaf in the table that he was supposed to put in the table, but he got it behind his back. And he promised everybody that they would be putting this in the in to effect once he got into office. And so they and that's what happened. Um he lied, he got in office, and he's done nothing but lie since he got in there. And I mean, I'm just calling it like it is. You were nice to him because you're trying to be politically correct. You said some things,
Nonpartisan.
but then you said some things you wish you'd have done different.
Yeah.
No, some things he done great and some things he done bad, and we just got to call it for what it is. But this council needs to be changed, and that's what we do. We change councils in this city and in this county. We change councils. We change governments. And if you're going to be one of the ones that's representative of positive change for the people, then that's what you need to reflect. You need to show everybody that every time. We can't have wishy-washy. We can't have nobody who think that they got to get along. You're going to run on what you're going to do and say what you're going to say. That's who we're going to be voting for. You're not going to be a puppet for Van, because that's what they are. We don't expect Van to even be there,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, and I think that's what I have told, when people ask me, well, what's going to be the difference? It's in no fault of the current alderman's. It's not his fault whatsoever that he has a full-time job that he has to be behind a desk at Monday through Friday or whatever. Plus I see him out all the time pulling security detail places. That's his livelihood. That's his job.
Mm-hmm.
We changed our whole lifestyle, and I have the ability to be available. I have the ability to be what they had in the previous alderman that allows me to do my work remotely. It allows me to do my work. My wife does the lion's share of our work. So it allows me to spend more time with the youth community. It allows me to spend more time with the church community. It allows me to spend more time with the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA. And I am going to be focused on one thing. And somebody asked me, I think a few months ago, they said, well, who are you going to endorse in the mayoral race? And I said, I'm going to endorse who shows up, and I'm going to endorse who wants to be there for my district, because I'm going to be hired by the 6th district. And so I would love to have, if Keisha's there, that's going to be great because I get along and work well with her. Great. If Van is there, I hope we're going to see a lot of change in other seats, because we need to be able to make sure there's not a controlled city council. And you're right, you used the word puppet. I've used that a lot. We can't be puppets up there. I don't have any desire to have a seat at the table just to do what the person leading the table wants me to do. That's not my personality.
Well, and I hate to. I missed the first 20 minutes. So Robert probably thinking, "Damn, Julie, you just come in and you just taking over." Well, I
No,
can
you're
tell you
fine.
one thing. I can tell you one thing, Mike, and this is what it is. You can say that you're not endorsing anybody, but if I am, and if you're running against Robert, and I am endorsing Robert, and you're saying that you're not going, and I'm running against somebody else, you're saying that you're not going to be in opposition of me. Now, Van is 100% behind your
Sure.
opponent.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
100%.
Yep. I see
He's
it.
not with you. He's
No,
100%
and you don't.
with your opponent.
Yeah, and you don't see me inviting Van. I mean, I invite them all to stuff we do for youth, like when we do,
Right.
kickoffs or opening ceremony. I invite them all because the kids want to see all of them there, and they shouldn't have all of our fighting, get in their way of a special moment. So I invite them all, but we see who shows up. When I did the community engagement breakfast, that was not a political thing. That was my youth group serving. I sent the invite to multiple elected officials. Guess who shows up? Keisha. When we do, when I'm over there serving at the dive at the day center, trying to help these homeless to actually get off the street, not just move them street to street. Well, we call, guess who shows up? Keisha. Now, since all this has gotten big and blown up, now all of a sudden there's some other faces showing up, but you see who's there for the right reasons. I'll tell you a quick little story. When Keisha showed up, she was there and she said, hey, just put me to work somewhere. And I said, well, look, I just work in the kitchen. You need to go out there at the advocacy table. That's where the real work's going on. That's where they are sending people back where they came from, getting them connected to city services, helping them navigate through the paperwork to get through, the Union Missions, Family Promises, Salvation Armies, all the other great organizations, United Way, helping them get through all those. That's where the work's been done. So she said, okay. So she went out there, and about 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, I looked out there and I'm like, huh, she's gone. That kind of surprised me. I really thought Keisha would stay a little longer than that. And then I turned around and I look up. She's not gone. She's sitting at a table, cheek to cheek, with this homeless lady, as this homeless lady's talking to her. And I thought, wow, because that person probably wasn't the most pleasant person to sit right next to at that moment. And then about 45 minutes later, I was doing something else. I think we were switching to lunch. And I came out and she was gone. And I thought, okay, well, she stayed all morning. I'm so thankful she did. And she came in to talk to those people, not just to be there to judge them. And all of a sudden my phone rang. It was her. And I answered and she said, hey, Mike, can you unlock the back door? And I said, unlock the back door? And she said, yeah. She goes, my son called. He was up at military camp. And she said, I had to take that call. I only get to talk to him once a day, and I didn't want to miss it. She goes, but the door locked on me. And she came back in there, and she sat there for another hour with those people.
Wow.
Now, those people are not going to vote, most of them. They're not going to help go canvass doors to her. She was there because they were there. And I've done multiple events in the city, and we've done lock-ins for basketball. We've done baseball camps, ribbon cuttings, and you just see who shows up and does the work. And you're right. When I seen the financial disclosure came out and seen who's supporting my opponent, it's easy to see, and that's fine. They have an agenda, and that's fine.
Right.
Now, if I win, can I work with those people? I believe I can, but I'm the people that hired me for the seat. But it's evident who shows up in our community and who does the work, and it's not who everybody thinks is going to win this mayoral race.
That's right. I think, Julius, we need to go ahead and do our commercial break, or do you want to kind of keep going? Okay. Hold tight, Mike. All right, we're back. So, Mike, what are some specific things you talked about the 6th district, but citywide that you think are issues that you want to address when on council?
So I had to go down, like we all did, to go qualify last week. And as I got ready to leave there, I walked across to the square, out front there. And, we continue to push these homeless camps all around and continue to seem to want to write checks. What's one of my biggest frustrations is when you see them on there bragging about how much money we've spent. And I think the last time somebody said something, just a piece of it was like $1.4 million spent on a certain part of the homelessness. But yet the numbers that came out said we only had 783 homeless. Well, if I can't help 783 homeless with $1.4 million, I really don't do a very good job using money.
Exactly.
So I also, one thing I think the biggest difference would be is I want to help attack homelessness from the ground. So I don't mind going into the camps, getting down there with the people, finding out why, because that is such a multifaceted problem. They are not all there for wrong reasons. They're not all there for right reasons. And you can't deal with it just blanket, and you can't deal with it to continue just to write checks. I want to see us go in and identify, why are they there? How'd they get there? Who are they? Why are they there? How'd they get there? What is it going to take? Some of them are going to be super easy to get off the streets. Some of them are going to be more challenging. And then that's when we work with that. We are left with the ones that are there for the wrong reasons, and they got to be dealt with differently. Also, I want to see us have some policies from our citywide that puts some teeth into our ability for our police force to go in and deal with them when they're in these camps. And I say camps when they're on these private property. That's kind of the scapegoat that these guys currently have used as well. You just have to understand it's a process because they're on private property. Okay, well, I helped a man over in Tanglewood recently who he was getting letters from the city, and then he had to go to court, and then he got fined $750 plus a $500 court cost.
Wow.
For his property. Okay, this guy's on a fixed income of $1,400 a month. So that's a whole other set of issues. I have a code enforcement that I want to see change. But if you can do that to private citizens on their own property, why can't we do the same to these investors that come in and own property that don't even live around Savannah? So this one over here behind Walmart on Apache that was causing all the neighbors. I mean, we have a county commissioner that told me in a personal conversation, his kids don't want to go run anymore because they don't feel safe. Okay. It's not that it's just that we're trying to, like, well, you can't be homeless. That should be illegal. No, that's not what it's about. It's everyone, you, the homeless, and the people in the community where you are affecting by the way you choose to live. And some of them do choose, not all of them. There's some great people out there that we've been able to help get off the streets. The last time the dive went into the one out there across from Hoover Creek Plantation, they sent 16 people home and reconnected them with family members.
Wow.
Okay. That's doing the work. That's boots on the ground doing the work. But we have to identify why they're there. We got to help them get back to either connecting with loved ones. You know, if you think about how someone becomes homeless, at some point there's a family unit. And something caused them. Sometimes it's drugs and alcohol. Sometimes it's a job loss. Sometimes it's mental health. I can't believe all the mental health stuff we've helped people deal with. But you have to identify them and help them get out of there. And we need to, at the same time, not need these builders and these investors in our back pocket so much that we don't mind punishing them when they are allowing these activities. So these areas are not fit for human habitation. And they're going in there and they're setting up the best of their ability to live in somewhere that's not set up to live. There's no plumbing. These people still go to the bathroom like we do. Okay, but there's no plumbing out there. So we talk about, well, it's private property. We can't mess with that. Yes, you can. You can write policies just like you do my personal yard. If I don't mow it, you can come in and find me. Well, you get a couple of these investors and you find them guys $25,000 to $50,000 for allowing it. Guess what? They're not going to allow it anymore. And if we make it a little more difficult to take the easy way out, they will take our help. They will take our hand up, not hand out. You know, people, and I get challenged on this a lot, because if you post anything like it on social media, you're a horrible person because you don't know what these people are going through and you don't know how they're living. Well, one, yeah, I do, because I've gotten involved myself personally to know that. And I don't talk about it and not be willing to go and be in the middle of it. I got in baseball in Little League 21 years ago because my kid was 4 and I knew he had a long time to deal with this. And if I was going to be involved, I wanted to have a voice. I wanted to know how it worked from the inside. So if I want to deal with homelessness, I can't just say, yeah, let's approve writing these checks for this. Yes, let's approve writing these checks for that. I got to go be involved. I got to be in the people. And I don't mind doing that. I don't mind going in there with the organizations. You know, we have a homeless authority in Savannah that works their butts off. We have some fantastic organizations that work their butts off to help people. We just got to give them all the tools and the finances. We got to give them the money. We got to give them the tools, and we got to give them the authority. We're taking authority away every time we turn around because somebody's feelings get hurt. We have to give people back the authority when we're asking them to do something. And that's teachers as well, police officers. I mean, we're asking people to navigate through all these new challenges and then say, yeah, but, you know, let's just not be too strict about it. It's not going to work. Curtis had a great town hall meeting about a year ago I went to, and he missed an opportunity, in my opinion. But in the process of this, a guy stood up in the back of the room, and he said, you guys are missing the whole boat, and you're way off from fixing this. He said, I was homeless. I was in North California. I was homeless. I was doing anything I wanted to do, whenever I wanted to do it, still going to work when I wanted to make some money. And somebody brought me dinner, brought me breakfast, cleaned up after us. And he said, it wasn't until they took away some of those luxuries. And he said, it's hard to imagine that the minimal they have would be considered a luxury. But he said, when they started taking those away, I was forced to go and get the help I needed to fix my situation. And we do have to, it's got to be a little tough love. You know, Jennifer, that's over our homeless authority, said to me one day, she said, it's not a pretty situation. It's not going to be a pretty solution. And we just have to face it. We just can't keep thinking it's going to get better, because it's getting worse. Jacksonville and Atlanta are putting people on buses and sending them to Savannah. And we've got calls on that. They're sending Savannah and telling them Savannah has resources.
Julius, you got the next one.
Well, and that just goes to show you, Mike, that the wrong things are funded, and that if we need to fund all the right things. It's a lot of things that are funded. We're spending money frivolously on things like bricks on Broughton Street, and that's for tourists. You got to enrich the lives of the people that live in the community that's here every day, not those that are coming in to visit. Savannah's already a beautiful city. It has everything everybody wants when they come to visit, and that's just part of it. They got to fund those right organizations. And y'all excuse my background. It's about 50 of us here with my frat brothers.
Well, you're right. And, I love what we offer downtown. I love tourism. I love the restaurants. I love going down there, meeting people, talking to people. I love that we have businesses that thrive down there. I don't want to see anything go away for our tourism, but we don't have to fund it the way we have previously done it in order for it to succeed anymore. It's, we as a kid, you'd watch cartoons of a snowball that started so small and it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until every time that thing rotated, it's doubling in size and it's creating its own growth. We have a product downtown that can create and sustain its own growth. We got to go back into our communities now. So like the arena, I think the arena was a great project. I think it's wonderful that we have it. I love going to the hockey games. I've been to a few concerts there, but we can't go and have another project like that, say like the Canal District, where all the money goes down to fund this canal district until we have a few years now going back into our communities where the people live that work in those places downtown. We have to go back in and invest in our local community. So I'll say the South Side in particular, if we've got $5 million set aside for a community center, okay? Now, sometimes it gets called community center, sometimes it gets called youth center because it depends on the audience they're talking to and who they need to say the money is secured for. But whatever it could be both. If we have 5 million, and we know the county has budgeting for that too. If you go ask your county reps, they will tell you, and I have, the county has money set aside for something similar as well. Then you go to the state, maybe they have some property somewhere. The county has property even. You got to work together because 5 million ain't going to cover it. We're going to throw up something else that don't have enough stuff in it to serve our community, and then we're right back in the same boat. You could build right now, the biggest thing we don't have in Savannah is gyms. We need an indoor facility with 5 or 6 basketball gyms in it because we don't. I was talking to the commissioner the other day that has a basketball team. I said, hey, I think we're going to take our little rec team. We're going to play some travel ball this season. I said, where do you guys usually go? They go to Orlando. They go to Tampa. They go to Atlanta. Well, how do we not have a basketball tournament? I mean, we have some small ones, but how do we not bring in? We don't have the facilities for it. The school owns most of the gyms. Try to get into them to use them.
Yeah. I didn't know that. That's
tracks. We have one track that it would qualify for a sanctioned meet. Okay. The county owns the track. It's at Savannah State. But Savannah State owns the gates that allow you to get into the track. So I can call the county and they can say, hey, yeah, you can go use the track. But if Savannah State says, yeah, we don't have anybody around today, we're keeping the gates. So guess what? I can't use the track. I mean, really? We're talking about $7.5 million for storm drainage?
Yep.
Come on. I could have sold that millage rate if I really felt like that was the right thing to do by saying we were going to give a product that affected our future leaders, not storm drainage. I would have found a better product to go for. I think that we missed an opportunity to give everybody a little bit of a break, lower the millage rate a little bit, even if it's just for a couple years, give them a little bit of a break while we missed that opportunity. We being a part of the Sports and Recreation Committee, I've seen some of the funds that we have spent in youth sports that I can tell you now I would never vote for. They could have been done differently. If you're anybody that's connected to baseball, you get online and you look and see the challenges that the baseball leagues and the teams have, and it's always a county versus city thing, which is wrong. We have to be better at collaborating on these things. It should never be, well, I'm going to play in the county's program or the city's program. It should be, I'm going to play in the largest baseball program that anywhere in the East Coast could have that we do together. We miss a lot of those opportunities to collaborate.
All right. So, Julius, I think we're at the part where we do final comments. Any final words from you, and then Mike? I think I'm muted.
Okay, what I wanted to do, Mike, was make sure that you are on board with uh, the uh, meetings of all the delegation for the state, the county, all the city municipalities, and everybody getting together, all the leaders getting together in the room, and stop operating in silos so that you can get things done in the city. If you agree to that, then that's a starting point for everybody. You know.
Yep. No, you want I probably my most, and probably somebody's gonna call me if they see this, but I don't care at this point because, like you said, like I for a long time tried to really protect what I would say about certain people because you worry about, well, I got to kind of keep them on my side just in case. But then you see that as we get closer, they're more bold in being able to say, well, we want this group to stay together so bad, we're willing to put up with somebody for another 4 years that really don't get anything done. And so if you look at things I do, things I'm involved in, you're going to see that I, across both party lines and across city, county, and state, work with others. So somebody the other day that called me was trying to set something up, and they're like, well, you voted for Carl Gilliard. And I said, absolutely. And I would time and time again. And they're like, well, he's a Democrat. Yep. And he's also a huge voice when it comes to serving people that may not have as much, helping them get out of jail and get out of incarceration and have something to go do afterwards, and not just be like the movies where they open the gates and everything's supposed to just be perfect when they walk out. Carl's involved in so many of those opportunities. He gave me his MLK Drum Major award here last year for the work I do in the community. So working across whatever, and I'd love to be able to handpick everybody I had to work with, but that isn't reality. And running auto dealerships for 26 years, it wasn't reality. I always got to pick my service manager, my parts manager, my finance managers, and there's times we didn't always agree. But at the end of the day, we had a job to do, and that was to succeed and to move forward. And I couldn't have done it on my own. In fact, I'll say my manager of those departments, they were more responsible for the success than I was. I just was the nucleus that held it together. So working across all those lines, eliminating the dividing part of it is what I think I do bring the most to this race.
One thing I want to say before I go, also before you give your closing, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say. I just hope that you and Robert can be on that council and work together with Keisha Gibson Carter and Alicia Blakely and Bernetta Lanier to make things happen in this city.
Well, they show up, and that's what it
Yeah.
takes. And that's what I say about them every time is that if you do something in the community, it can be youth, it can be the homeless initiatives, it can be whatever it is. If you give them enough time at all to where they can make sure their schedule fits, if you invite them all, they show up. And one more thing I'll add to that is what I've learned in doing a lot of these events, they're not just there. They come in, they spend time with the people, they talk to the people, and it's because they care about the people.
Totally agree.
So we need Savannah to be about Savannah again. And we can still continue to grow all the wonderful tourism stuff, and you can still let SCAD grow. They just got to pay their fair share. They got to pay their way to do it. We don't have to fund that anymore. But it's a great product to have here. It's a great opportunity for Savannah. I've met some great people that went to SCAD, but we need to focus on the people that are going to go to the ballot box. That's who we have to focus on.
That is totally true.
And I do like it that I think this whole new slate of people running, if you look, a lot of us are a little more focused on getting to the kids, getting to the youth. I know Rashida is, I know Todd is, we've got some people running that really want to, and you will see them in the community, not just on the dais twice a month. You will see them in the community. And that, I want to be what they had previously in the 6th District, the part of, I'm not just Alderman McCann, or I'm not just a 6th District Alderman. when somebody on the South Side needs me, they say, call Mike. That's what I want to be. I don't care about the title. I want to be called Mike.
That's totally great. All right. So we'll be back next. I'm getting ready for our video to go out. We'll be back next Saturday. Again, same time, same place. Mike, thank you for joining us. And hopefully we learned a lot. I know I totally learned a lot from you. So thank you again for being on.
No problem, man. Julius, thanks for not beating up on me too much.
All
See you
right. Y'all
guys.
have a great weekend now. Take care.
I like that.